Right, what have we got here? It is the M2t Warrior, the dual switch tactical flashlight from Olight. So obviously I know a millionaire, so I was able to get a hold of one of these because I think they're a little bit too expensive. And just in case you forget, you can use it to look for deer, live in a house, and steal someone's handbag by the looks of it. If those are any of your hobbies, this is right up your street. It's more of a tactical flashlight, but we'll go into what tactical really means. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a look and a ruggedness, which means you can rely on it. So there's the barcode number, and we'll go through some of the basics. I'm going to show you the box here, but I'm going to talk through a lot of this. So I'm going to have a look at this and memorize it. 13 cycles instead of 10. Yeah, that's the frequency. Right, that's memorized. So Olight, for those who don't know, it's a more of a premium brand, but you get what you pay for. And to be quite honest, never had a problem with an Olight, and they all come, especially in this country anyway, which is the UK, you get a 5-year guarantee, and never had a problem, not once. So let's get this opened. Let's see what you get. So I'm expecting big things, bearing in mind the ridiculous price. So what's this? Accessories below. Right, so we'll put the box to one side for a second. And how do you open this? So that must come off. Yeah, that comes off the bottom. And there's your accessories and your bits and pieces. So let's get that out and get the box out of the way. There's the flashlight. So we'll go through the accessories first. So first thing, nice to see that you get a holster. The last flashlight I got, which came with a holster, was a ThruNite, and ThruNite are a more expensive brand. I'm not particularly impressed with this. Do you know what? It does the basics. The only problems I have is when you have a flashlight with a side button, you don't want a soft thing like this, because the button can be pressed by accident. Although, to be fair to this company, to be fair to Olight, this bit is like a really high one of these Cordella or whatever they call it, so it's pretty high, so it's rugged enough where it probably would stop the button. And there's a little drainage section there, and then this will allow you to put it on your molly webbing, and there's a little hook. Nice. So do you know what, for free, I'm not going to have a go. I would prefer to see something a bit more rugged, even if it's just a piece of plastic as an insert to stop buttons being pressed. That's all I'm asking for, especially at this price bracket. But okay, you're getting it for free. I'm not going to complain too much. So what else do you get here? What's this? Olight. Now that's all in Chinese, so where's the English? Read before use, tail switch operation, constant on, momentary on. Right, I've memorized that, so I will go through that with you, don't worry. There's the user manual, so quite a large one. I presume the warranty's in there as well. It's got the basics, contents, quite nice. It's all, you've got all them different languages. If you want to learn Dutch or Chinese in your spare time, you can read that. But that's it. So that's pretty easy to understand. And here's the lanyard. So we'll take it off. Now there's an interesting thing. Now I got this with the S2. Here's the S2. They have Olight, especially. I mean, a lot of companies are guilty of this, but Olight are one of them, and they have a tiny little hole to get the lanyard hook through, which is bloody impossible half the time. However, to be fair to Olight, they provided a pin with their lanyard loop, and they've done the same again here. So you see this little pin here? It's hard getting that through, so what they've done is, there you go, so you can thread that through. See how easy that was? So they've taken the time to actually sort that problem out, because I find that extremely irritating trying to get them through. And there's very few companies who make the lanyard hole big enough. So yeah, Olight are also guilty of making it small, but they provide a way around that. So well done, Olight. I'm extremely pleased to see that. And as usual, that feels great. Yeah, that's a great lanyard. Feels good quality. Feels rock solid. Feels stiff. Feels premium. Feels smooth. Yeah, Olight always do a decent soft lanyard, which is good on extended treks and things like that. There's your spacer, and it is spring loaded. Great. Again, that looks okay. I hope that's not just glued, but okay. That's always a weak point in a lot of them, but no, that's fine. Never had a problem with an Olight lanyard. Some of them, yeah, they're cheap. There was a hike light one I got, which was awful. It was like a cheap shoelace, but decent, nice to see, and I appreciate the fact that you've put the little the pin there. So I'll put that to one side. Let's have a look at this flashlight. So like I say, it's supposed to be tactical. Now when we discuss tactical, what you generally get is you get tactical edge here. So this is, theoretically, this is supposed to allow you to attack someone. I've said this before, I've been in a few fights. The last thing you want to do is hit someone with that motion. You're already, they're grabbing you, you're trying to grab them, you're trying not to be punched in the face and strangled to death. It's not as easy as you see on the films. On the films, you see the hero run up and go, "Ha-ha, take that, you harlot," and whack, no problem, judo chop, and they're out in 10 seconds. It doesn't work like that in real life. You're rolling around on the floor in the dirt, and it's sometimes luck. So, yeah, okay, that's there. And the excuse some of the manufacturers will use is they'll say, well, you see, it's not for fighting. This is for safety. You can put car windows out. Yeah, okay. Sometimes you can put out small quarter lights, but having tried it myself, it doesn't always work. You try, it depends which country you're in as well. Some use safety glass which shatters into small bits. If you're in other countries, they use a laminate. It depends where you are, so you need to look into that, and at the end of the day you need to be trained for those sort of things anyway. So anyway, without me whinging and having the right whinge-a-thon, let's get on with this. Okay, so they've put that on, fair enough, it's tactical. So it's the M2t Warrior, and there's the product code there. I quite like the styling. It's very heavy. I mean, compare that to the Olight S2 baton. Now look at the size difference as well. Now understand that there has to be a size difference. Two things are going on here. Firstly, there's a tail switch which adds, so there's your tail switch there. So that doesn't have a tail switch, and that uses almost a TIR reflector. It's not a really reflector, it's a lens, so you don't get a deep bowl, whereas that one has a deep bowl because you also want to throw light. So that's one of the things with this. This will throw, but you get some spill, and I will go into what that actually means. So we'll put that to one side. But first impressions, it's very heavy. And one of the things I liked about the S2 was the deep carry. So the clip is deep carry. In other words, it goes all the way up. So when this is in your pocket, if you imagine this is the material of your pocket goes up to here, there's very little protrusion out of the pocket. If the pocket's coming up to there, very little. So I love a deep carry. This doesn't have, or doesn't appear to have, a deep carry. It's deep enough, but it's such a big one anyway. It's probably not all going to fit in your pocket unless you put it in sideways in some jeans. But it's dual use. You can use it that way or that way. Although that way feels a bit lighter to me. That feels a bit weak. I don't know if I would go camping and trust that. But it is reversible, so you can remove that and put it the other way around, and put it up here. You've got, so if you do that, obviously that's technically a deep carry there, because if you imagine that's the material and that's all that's going to be sticking out, so you'd reach in with your fingers and poof out the pocket. So it depends how you want to do that, but you're free to configure that how you wish. And I like the fact that they've done that, and it is a removable clip and you can adjust it to your personal needs. So very nice. Now I want to discuss batteries, so let's get this open. Now I know, because a little birdie told me, that you don't get a free 18650 with this, even though this is an 18650 torch. So what's going on here? Right, this is a caddy. Ignore the batteries there, but this black thing is a caddy. So what it allows you to do is, it allows you to put two smaller cells in and thus pretend that they are a larger cell. Here's an 18650. So by putting two in, you're getting a similar capacity, not as much output. But if you didn't have any of these, you can use two small ones. It's not personally what I would do, and I'll explain why. And I think it's a bit naughty that Olight have done this. Instead of giving you a big battery and that, then giving you the option, I'm going to put that to one side. What they've done is they've given you that and not given you the option, and not given you an 18650. Here's the problem. Okay, on an 18650, right, you get 1200 lumens, fantastic, with a step down to 600. On two CR123As, which is what these are, and yeah, I know they're the Olight expensive ones, and they're 1600 milliamp hours, which is excellent, but you only get 900. Okay, on high 600 with this, What about with the small ones? Only 400. So how are you, Olight? You're charging that much for a flashlight, and then you're not even giving me the decent battery. Come on, I think that's a bit naughty. But I'm not gonna whinge too much. Let's get on with the flashlight. So let's go through some of the specs of this. So it's the Olight M2t Warrior. It's supposed to be tactical. I can see it does feel extremely solid. I can't fault them on that. Extremely solid. I really like it. Even the machining feels good. There's a little bit of noise there, but they have greased that, and you can see they've put an O-ring on there. In fact, I'll get in it there. That's what I'm pressing there. So that's your rubber O-ring there. Although I do notice the no spare O-rings, so that's a bit naughty. A lot of the other manufacturers, even the cheap Chinese ones, give you a couple of free O-rings, so okay. But to be fair to Olight, you've got a 5-year warranty, so if you think you've been unfairly treated and one of those breaks, you can get that replaced, so don't worry about that. But the workmanship is excellent. They've greased this, which is nice to see. Let's have a look down here. Oh, nice. It's even got, that's like a spring-loaded retention there. Lovely. Good workmanship. The thread's nice and it's greased. No machine marks whatsoever. No rubbish down there. That feels good. Yeah. Okay, and the same on here. And what we've got down there now. It's interesting. Yeah, they've got a spring down there, and it is, I can just reach it. Yeah, it's a heavy duty. Yeah, that is heavy duty. I can just feel that. So that's nice to see. So quality all round so far, excellent. So I'm going to put the battery in and discuss ready. Now, before I put the battery in, I do want to mention, unlike most other manufacturers, the plus terminal goes towards the LED. It's the opposite with Olight, okay? It's the same with the S2. Always put the plus to the top. And now if you forget, on the S2, it's got a little diagram on there, so you see plus terminal at the top, and on here they have that little guide there to remind you. Okay, so let's do that now. Move that out of the way. So plus to the top, unlike other manufacturers. Now I'll screw that on. I'll tell you the rest about it. So it's using an XHP35 LED. So that's down there, which you can see. Looks pretty clean, although you can't really tell much unless you get real close up. Now it's a dual switch setup, so you have a switch here and you also have a switch here. I've discussed switch types and why I like them. This is the S2. Now this just has a side switch, which is okay. I don't like that because it can be knocked and it doesn't have an electronic lockout, so I tend to put the clip over so that can no longer be pressed. The other option is electronic lockout, but not all models have that. I prefer a tail clicker. So here, for example, is the BLF special edition of the A6. It only has the tail clicker. Now, if you notice the tail click design on here, you can't accidentally press the button. You could theoretically if it was in your bag and the wrong thing hit, but in general, you can't press the button by accident because it's behind this sheath. Now you don't get that with this, but that's not an issue because you do get electronic lockout, and I'll go into that later on. But I prefer a tail clicker. I find it more tactical and they don't go on unnecessarily. You know, you can use them for gun drills and things like that, although I wouldn't necessarily hold a gun like that. I would use an eye index hold, but that's up to yourself. But I do prefer that sort of setup. I like a tail clicker. So we'll put that to one side. Okay, now it's using the 18650 batteries, which are great. The one I'm going to test this with is a Samsung 30Q. So theoretically, I should be able to get, because it's a high discharge, I should be able to get about 1200 lumens, which is absolutely fantastic. Most other flashlights, I think this is using the same battery, and you only get about 950 with that. And the BLF and the Convoy S2 Plus, you're getting around 1000 depending. So it's within that range, but this goes above and beyond that, which is nice to see. It has a silent tail switch. Now, unlike something like the BLF, I'll show you the BLF and this is the BLF here, and this is the Convoy S2 Plus. Both very popular, very cheap as well. So if you listen, there's an audible click when they go on and off. Now, you could argue, well, so what? You're right, but in certain circumstances, especially with tactical thoughts in mind, you may not want to alert someone to your presence. So you may want to put it onto moonlight mode and not make a noise, for example. So if you listen to this when it goes on, I'm going to cover this just because it will be bright. See, there's no sound when that goes on. There is, but it's imperceptible. I can just sense that, but most people aren't going to hear that. So nice feature to have. Some people I can see would probably call this a mushy button because there is no you could call it haptic feedback, really, almost like when you use a mobile telephone and the screen gives you a slight vibration, so you know there's some sort of feedback to your body, so you know what's happening. And that's the whole point of a click. Even without looking, you know what's gone on. You hear it and you feel the vibration, whereas this has nothing, but it's so bright you can see it, so that's not an issue. Okay, so let's go through some of the things here. So it's IPX8, which essentially means you can drop that in up to 2 meters of water and it shouldn't have water ingress and it should work absolutely fine. There's no daft charging ports on this or entry points. It's well made, fits like a rock, it feels solid. I can't see water getting in there and it's well greased. I would trust that is an IPX8 without issue. It's nice to see. And then the reflector type on this is an orange peel, so let's have a look. I think these are both orange peels, but I'll just double check. Yeah, they're both orange peels, so I'll find a smooth reflector. So if I've got one there you go. So there's the Olight SC01, I think. Now that has a smooth reflector, so you see the difference. Look at the silver bit, it's smooth. Okay, and then compare that to this. Now if you look at it, it's got a dimpled orange peel effect on it. So what's going on there? Well, I'll quickly go over that. So I'll just put this to one side because you know what time of day it is. It's time for a picture. Okay, so on a normal flashlight, there's your reflector and the LED, and the light comes out. There's your light traveling out in this direction, and then light also bounces within this reflector and you get what's called spill. So there's your directed light, and this section is spill. So if you fire this, I'll just show you with this. So can you see the two when that hits? This is your direct light, and then this to here is spill. So when it hits the wall, you get this. So you get a spot, which is the intense light there, and this is your spill. Okay, so I'll turn that off, and that's an extreme example because this is a smooth reflector. So you're thinking, okay, what's the point in an orange peel reflector? So an orange peel reflector has small pits and aberrations. In other words, to put it simply, it's not flat. It has dimples. So you get the same effect, you get a spot, but it bounces the light in a different way. So when it hits the wall, instead of just these two crude zones where it's all spill and all spot, you have a transition zone where it's a mix of both. So you could argue, now that will change with distance, so if you pull that away it becomes less pronounced, if you're closer up it becomes more pronounced. So it depends on the size of the reflector and the distance to what it is you're doing. I would argue that an orange peel reflector is a good way of retaining the benefits of a thrower, which this is, smooth reflector, whilst avoiding having to go to what's called a TIR lens, which I'm not going to go into because I don't want to make this too long, and I've already gone into it on other videos. So if you want to know what a TIR lens is and how it works, really, you want to watch my videos on the Skilllight H03 and the Chloris Mini one, just off the top of my head. So you might want to look at them because I don't really want to bore people too much. So I'll show you an example. So there's the smooth reflector, and here is the Warrior. So let's turn this on. I'm going to put this on a random mode here. There. So can you see on the left, there's a very pronounced difference between the two zones. In the center on this here, no matter the height, you can see both zones. Whereas on here, you see, it's not so black and white, is it? There's a transition going on there. See? Now I would argue that therefore that this is a well-made reflector, and there's a good transition there. So even if you come up to here, you've still got a nice bit of spot in the middle to look at what you're looking at. You can see the region there here, which is this spot, but it's more transitioned. So I like that. It's better for close-up work, but it's still a thrower, so it's nice to see because you're still getting this throw section, which is from here to here. So it seems pretty well designed, so I'll turn that off for a moment, put that to one side. Okay, so we've gone through what the reflector is, so I'll take that to one side. Now I want to discuss modes. Now bear in mind that these figures are based on Olight's figures. Now Olight's figures are based on using the 3500 milliamp hour battery, which is an 18650, but it'll be the high discharge one or the other one. So understand that if you use two of these, you're going to get slightly less runtime and you're going to get slightly less lumens. But most people aren't going to use the Caddy and they're going to use the 18650. So let's go through the different modes. So the first mode, if you hold the button on, tiny, see that? That's 1 lumen. Now what's the point of that? You're probably thinking, why would I buy this then have 1 lumen? Well, the whole point is 1 lumen allows you to look at something, for example a map or whatever, a keyhole, whatever you're busy with, in the darkness. It's enough, believe it or not, to look at something without ruining night vision. Now night vision is something you build up when you're outdoors. It takes about 20 minutes, I would say, after coming out of strong light, and it allows you to see at night to a degree. You know, you're not a bat or an owl, but you can see to a degree. Now if you shine something really bright in your eye, you lose that. So this prevents that. There are other methods of doing that, such as red light, which I personally don't think you need that, but that's another matter. So that's your lowest mode. Now that's 1 lumen, and that's called level 6. So we'll call that moonlight. And you get about 30 days runtime out of that. So if you put a 3500 milliamp battery in here, you'll get 30 days on that mode. Well, that's pretty impressive. Then the next one is level 5. So there you go, that's low, but that's still pretty high. Now that's only 15 lumens, but you'll get about 70 hours out of that. Extremely good to see, very efficient. And then the next one is level 4, which is they call medium. Well, they call level 4, but let's call it medium, and that's 60 lumens. You get 20 hours out of that. I would argue 60 lumens, you can do a lot with that, especially close-up work if you're camping. You don't need more than that. That's pretty damn good. And then you've got level 3, which we'll call high. That's level 3, so it's a bit higher there. Now that's 250 lumens. You'll get about 6 hours 15 minutes maximum. Again, I would argue most things you do, you're only going to need about 300 lumens, and that's 250, so that's absolutely fine. And then very high, if you hold it again, there, that's very high. That's 600 lumens. Again, more than enough for most tasks. You'll get about 2 hours 20 minutes out of that. And then you have turbo, so if you double click, bang, that takes it right up. Now believe it or not, that's 1200 lumens or thereabouts, and you'll get about 2 hours 10 minutes. Now you're probably thinking, how do you get 2 hours 10 minutes on 1200 when 600 gives you 2 hours 20 minutes? Well, there's a step down. So thank you Olight for being honest and telling us what the step down level is and when it happens. So that's at 1200 lumens. So after 3 minutes, due to heat, I can already feel that slightly building up, but it's doing a fantastic job. That is not very hot at all. To protect the components, after 3 minutes, that will step down from 1200 lumens to about, I think it's 600, which is the mode below it. So it'll step down to save the components due to heat. Yeah, that's heating up a lot more now, but it's still pretty comfortable. I mean, compare that to some of the other flashlights I've got, and they go red hot. The BLFs especially go red hot, but no, that's doing a really good job. Bear in mind, it hasn't even got a heat sink. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. So we'll turn that off momentarily. Bang. Okay. Now you're probably thinking, you can do all of that, what's the point of this tail switch? Well, the whole point of the tail switch is it allows you to quickly get to certain levels, and it's also more handy. So if you want to quickly get a turbo, momentarily press it, turbo. So you see what I'm doing there? It's a momentary press. Now above that, if you want to do a different type of press, you can do a full press, and that keeps it on. See, I don't have to have my thumb on, and off again. So you've got half press, full press, and then you're probably thinking, well, where's strobe? How would I quickly get to that? Do I have to press this a million times and muck around? No, you don't. Watch. Press and hold. There, strobe, okay? Straight onto strobe. So that's excellent. The whole point of strobe is, tactically speaking, is to disorientate a target. That's the idea anyway. It can work. It depends whether that, I would argue, it depends whether that person's trained or not. If they're trained, they'll just quickly duck behind cover and wait for the strobe to finish. You've got to know who you're up against. So if it's a mugger, yeah, that might work. So you can just quickly hold and then strobe in the face, and that's going to output at the maximum there. So all in all, that's not too hot. I'm pretty impressed now. Because this is tactical, I want to test what this feels like through a pair of my gloves that I would sometimes use. So I'm going to stick them on now. There you go. Here's an old pair of gloves that I've used for various things, which I won't go into. So let's have a look. Yeah, that's pretty tight. Actually, because they put those dots on, I can't feel that. This is quite a thick pair of gloves. I would generally use a thinner pair, like a fast fit or something like that, especially dealing with certain types of metal and stuff, if you know what I'm talking about. You need a thin, especially around the finger, you need a thin glove so you can feel what's going on, and especially for mag releases and things like that. So yeah, I can make that out even through these thick gloves. That's pretty good. Yeah, so yeah, that would work pretty good. Now, side button, what about that? You're going to have more difficulty with that. But to be fair, even through through gloves, I can feel the difference of the button. So there's not a lot of button fumble. So I quite like that. So that's pretty good. Yeah, no problems with that. Yeah, even through a thicker pair of gloves, no problems. So yeah, pretty impressed with that. Now there is another mode which I want to discuss, which is electronic lockout. The whole point of electronic lockout is to stop buttons accidentally getting pressed, banging into things, banging into walls, or for example, in your kit bag or during an operation, things happen. You don't know they're going to happen, and bang, things go on. And the last thing you want in certain situations is lights accidentally going on, then your night vision goes and you think, oh, right, we're in trouble here. So, lockout. So you press and hold, which initially goes to moonlight there, and then bang, that goes off. Now if you see in the middle there, if I press that, see the red there? That's telling me it's locked out. It will not go on no matter what I press, even if I press the tail cap. So if I press the tail cap, see, it's just turn it, it will not go on until you long press there. Now you can go through all the modes without problem, including turbo. There you go, no problem. So let's turn that off. Let's take my gloves off and let's discuss the good points and the bad points. Right, I really like this. It's rock solid. It's got every option you can want. The only thing it's probably missing, which is probably way over the top, is programmability, but you can get that in the R version, which is has a rechargeable cap and things like that. But do you really need that? I personally don't. I've got loads of batteries and loads of chargers, so I don't need yet another mechanism for charging. But it's there if you want it. So what would I say is missing from here? Well, in the retail package, why Olight? Why are you giving me this? Can I have a proper battery, please, especially at this price point? So there's something I'm not happy with. I would prefer a better holster. However, whinging about batteries and modes and a holster is one thing, but concentrating on the flashlight itself and what it does, if you ignore all those things, it does an excellent job. Also, I've had to go with one of these for beam testing and very impressed. It walks that fine line between having a spot which is intense enough to stick on a target and meaningfully, and also has enough spill. Now what I'm talking about there is, let's just talk tactically just for a second. I know it's probably boring for some people, but let's say for example you were shooting with this. I would argue that one of the best grips for shooting is like the eye index. So what you do is you have your flashlight on and this comes up towards your eye. Now watch what happens. Imagine you've got your gun, okay? So this is pointing towards the target, and you see the spill is on your iron sights, because obviously for example, a handgun is going to be over there, so you need that spill on the iron sights, so that you can't aim. You need that on your target so you can see what the hell it is that you're going to hit if you're going to fire. So I think they've done a really good job. They've obviously understood what it is that they're trying to achieve. That spotlight spill combination, it works beautifully, and I'm glad that they didn't go TIR where it would just be all flood. I'm glad they went orange peel, which is one of my personal favorites. Also 1200 lumens, it's great. It just works brilliantly. It's very specific. The beam pattern is brilliant for close up to slightly far stuff. Obviously, if you want to go hit stuff miles away at the beach and things like that, you're probably going to want something like this. More of a thrower, huge deep dish here with good reflector and smooth. But for closer up stuff, this is fantastic. The only thing I can fault them on is the batteries that you'd get. But at the end of the day, they could say, well, you're not going to get a free battery, so you can't really complain. And the holster here, which I would prefer to be a bit more hard wearing. So let's give this a mark. Bearing in mind it's very expensive, so I'm going to mark it down for that. Although some may argue, why should I mark that down? Just because I'm poor and someone else is rich, why should I mark that down? That's unfair to the flashlight. I can see your point, but please bear with me here. The cost of that is massive in comparison to that and that. They both put out 1000 lumens, very similar to that. They'll both work similar. They've both got an orange peel reflector. Yeah, it's not as good as that reflector, but I would argue that's to do with size. See the size difference? And the deepness is slightly different, and it's a different LED. They both use the same battery, but you can get those pretty cheap. You can get those for, you know, a quarter of that. Why is that more expensive? Well, you've got the 5-year warranty. It's not going to break. I couldn't find a drop rating, but I presume it'll be in line with these, which is like a 1.5 to 2 meter drop rating. That's probably higher. I can't imagine that breaking. I've never had an Olight break. I've dropped that twice. In fact, where's the mark? I did put a mark on it. Dropped that twice onto brick. I'm very impressed. Very, very impressed. So marks out of 10. I'm going to give that a 9. I'll give it 9.5 if they give you a better battery and better holster, but other than that, 9.5. Well done, Olight. Even the lanyard's got a pin on it, so well done. So enough of me rabbiting on, let's get outside.